Okay, I think we're rolling here. Hi, and we're back. This is to say thank you to the two new subscribers. I think I'm up to 13 now. That's really great. I'm really excited. That's good. Today I'm going to be talking about an article that was published January of 2023 in this MUFON journal, Drawing on the Right Side of the Universe. And that one is talking about the left brain, right brain thing. I'll read you the summary, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about Betty Edwards' book. The left brain, right brain phenomenon affects how we view our world and our response to it. It also restricts the playing field for our thought processes. Many researchers have never knowingly experienced the abilities of their own brain's right hemisphere. That's the other half of the toolbox for all of us. I think that this may skew all of the research and limit our vision and our imagination and our potential success in solving the riddles of ufology, cryptozoology, and megalithic archaeology, as well as life in general. There's a couple of really deep thinkers, scientists like Roger W. Sperry and authors like Joseph Chilton Pearce. And they confirm this right brain, left brain thing. The left brain controls verbal and analytical skills. It likes math and science, logical sequences, and precise language. It's very attorney-like, actually. If you Google the list of all the things that the left brain does, you probably see a lot of yourself in that list. Now this book by Betty Edwards, my article says, this book right here, published in 1979, I think. And it's had been republished a number of times, and the covers change from time to time. And all of the things in it change as well. But for one thing, if you really want to learn how to draw, this is a good way to do it. And so what she's talking about, when I encountered this book sometime in the early 1980s, she was giving you exercises to do that the left brain doesn't like to do. Now, taking a newspaper, wadding it all up in a ball, and then begin to draw all of the edges that you have created. You could do the same with like a carnation or something. And the left brain can't imagine anything more boring in the entire world. And if you ever try this, you will notice a struggle between your ears that you're going to want to get up and get a drink of water. You're going to want to go make a sandwich. You're going to not want to do this today. And if you fight through that, at some point, you'll enter basically a meditative state. You will lose track of time, and you'll look at your watch, and you've been tracing the edges of this crumpled wad of paper for an hour or two. And that's what the right brain likes to do. It likes relationships. It likes contrast and complementary colors and hue and the shapes of things that don't have a description. And that's what it is about art. When you see a piece of art that you really like, you may not be able to describe in words just what it is that you really like about that. That's the right brain thing going on. Now, what Betty Edwards didn't realize that I think she discovered is she tripped over the tip of an iceberg unwittingly. And she was focused on art and saw how it affected art. And the deeper thinkers that I've mentioned, I think, have figured out that it affects not only art, but everything. Imagine if you'd never heard of this book, and most people haven't, and every discovery that we've got, every system that we have, all of the education in the public schools and most schools, all of the people in your life and the people in their lives and their ancestors were all left brain dominant people. We live in a left brain dominant world. And it's like, well, what's wrong with that? Well, maybe nothing. But what if in trying to interact with the Sabe people of the forest and ETs from who knows where, or just to figure out how 100,000 years ago they were able to move 300-ton blocks of granite and work it into stadiums and pavilions and buildings that we're not even really sure what their function was. We don't really even know what the pyramids did. Maybe we don't know because the answer lies somewhere in the half of our brain that we never use. It's like half of the house that we just don't ever go in there. And that is what I think is important, and that's what I wrote this article about. Now, it's about it in 1,500 words, so there's only so much you can say in that amount of time. And the article's entitled Drawing on the Right Side of the Universe, sort of a playful change of drawing on the right side of the brain. Just to remind me that it's supposed to be entertaining here, and I'll try to stick with that. But here's the first quote, and there aren't that many in this article, actually. It says, I say, the right hemisphere is an untapped resource, part of, quote, a fathomless and surging ocean is near, astonishingly near unto you. Behold, it is closer to you than your life vein, unquote. And that's from the writings that I'm researching. And they're talking about spirituality in general and certain things in particular. But it's a whole nother world that's astonishingly close to us. And in looking at this right brain, left brain thing, it's close because it's our brain. It's how it works, in part. If we have lost mental powers and abilities, mind speak, sixth sense, etc., we may have lost those as the left brain became dominant. That's just my surmise, my question. And if you're worrying about human beings dumbing down, well, one way to get them to dumb down 50% immediately is to not have them do anything with half of their hemisphere of their brain, with the right hemisphere of their brain. Now, when it comes to ET and Sabe and other beings that we're just encountering now, the question in my mind was, what if they're telling us things that we don't know how to absorb? Because they're telling us things that in a right-brained way that our left brain doesn't even understand. For instance, the Sabe people, the Sasquatch, can mind speak. It's been reported over and over and over that people get a sensation or hear a voice in their head, their own voice, sometimes a different voice. In my case, I heard my own voice because that's my inner dialogue talking. And so that's the voice I heard, these words that were not my words. That was very surprising. And then once it's over, it's like smoke. It's just gone. There's no record of it, and you're wondering, what in the heck just happened? Was that me? Am I going crazy? Yeah, who knows? Maybe I am. I don't know. But I heard it say, "You didn't see me." That's the words it chose. And I was not thinking those words. And in the instance that I'm talking about, it wasn't talking about what I was looking at that moment. You know, it was winter, and I was checking out whether something I had seen in the woods on the way to Quincy was still there. And when I heard that, "You didn't see me," I realized it was talking about an event that had happened the previous summer while I was mowing. Now maybe your brain just makes jumps like that. Could. I have no way of knowing. No way of knowing. But it was certainly interesting. But the other people who've had mind speak and report that they heard things in their head, some of them don't speak English. And they heard it in whatever language they speak. And we know when you record the forest people, they're not speaking any language that we know. They don't speak in any language of the nations of the earth. So my surmise is, my thought is that maybe this has something to do with the left brain, right brain connection, that when you get them both working in unity, there may be powers that only exist when they're working in unity. How would we know? So that's my thought on that. I could be way off, way off. Oh, and another thing I thought of too, because of a friend actually, it's not my thought, a friend of mine thought this up, and I'm not going to say their name because they may not want to be involved in this video series. But the thought came to me from them saying, when you see the erratic movement of an ET sometimes, it's like perhaps they're interdimensional and they're dodging real objects in the other dimension at a time when they have just become visible in this dimension as well. And yeah, that could be. But the other thought I had is perhaps the zigzaggy patterns that they make are like a bumblebee dance. Maybe there's a message in those patterns. There certainly is for the bumblebees, but we don't read it like that. Oh, they're driving crazy. Because our left brain doesn't think that way. Okay, going on. I'm going to read another quote here. This quote, back to Betty Edwards for a second. One little known mystical religion says this, quote, "Art is worship, period. The more thou strivest to perfect it, the closer wilt thou come to God. What bestowal could be greater than this, that one's art should be even as the act of worshiping the Lord? That is to say, when thy fingers grasp the paintbrush, it is as if thou wert at prayer in the temple." And I think that's because when you're doing it right, you enter a meditative state. The frequency of your mental vibrations head down towards alpha waves, the same as they do during a spiritual meditation. And that could be a very important thing, a very important clue in all of this. And so I was just going to sum up the article this way, is sum up: the right brain paints a portrait of a rolling ocean, and the left brain secures it in a frame with square corners. To see what the universe might divulge, I have half a mind to do both. period, Antarctica. And I think here, yeah, there's only 2 or 3 quotations in this whole paper. I think we covered 2 of them. I don't necessarily see the other one, but that's enough for now. So I want to thank everybody for checking this out. 13 subscribers is way more than I thought I would ever have. And we're an intrepid little group investigating the true reality of the universe on the one hand, and just seeing how far out there I might get on the other hand, I suppose. So I hope you enjoyed this. There are 4 or 5 more articles that have been published, and I will get to them as quickly as I can. And thanks for checking me out. Have a great day, everybody. I will see you when I see you. Bye.